Here's why you're afraid to win. Because winning means losing who you used to be. It could mean losing people that you're around. It could mean losing habits, ways of thinking. To win, you must be willing to lose. To win, you must be willing to fall on your face until you figure it out. That's what we're going to talk about today. For those who are new, my name's Lawrence. I'm a public speaker, author, and I offer one-on-one coaching on this type of stuff if you're a teen or young adult. Improving your confidence, mindset, self-worth, and ultimately creating a life that you're proud of. So, here is you. Let's say your name's Johnny. I don't know why. I feel like Johnny is going to be the name of this stick figure. And you want to make more money, right? You're 16 years old, you've been working at McDonald's, you want to become a manager or something. Or you want to get a girlfriend. Let's say her name is Sarah. You want to get a girlfriend. You want to become a content creator, so starting up your YouTube channel. You want to get your first car, right? You want to get that car. I'm a public speaker, not an artist. Bear with me. So I know this car gonna look a little ugly, but just bear with me. Okay, we're gonna give you a truck. Okay, that's a really ugly truck, but you get the point. This is where you are right now. This is where you want to be. You want to get that money. You want that girlfriend. You want that YouTube channel. Whatever. You want all of that. And right now, you don't have it. And if someone came to you and they asked, do you want more money? Yes, I want more money. Do you want that girlfriend? Yes, I want that girlfriend. Do you want 1 million YouTube subscribers? Yes, I want that. But do you want to put in the work that it takes to get it? Do you want to apply to job after job after job? Do you want to ask out a person? They say no. Do you want to ask out a person? They say no. Do you want to ask out a person? They say no. Do you want to make 1,000 videos before you get that million? Do you want to have to save up thousands of dollars, work long hours, get a driver's test, get the permit, do everything you need to get that car? I don't want to do all that. I'm going to lose time. I'm going to lose, courage. I'm going to fail. This person's going to reject me and all these things. But that's what it takes to win. If you want to win, you have to be willing to lose in the short term. Because every successful business person you can think of, Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, Steve Jobs, the plumber who works down the street from you, the electrician who has his own business, the man who owned the corner store, the guy who owned the ice cream truck. All of them had to, quote unquote, lose in the short term to win in the long term. And people are afraid of that short term pain in order to get that long term gain. Nobody has it all figured out at the start. Which leads us to my next point. This is you over here. We're going to draw it out again. And this is, we'll call it current life. So these are the people you're around. That's all your friends, family members. These are your habits. I'll draw like a basketball. We'll let this ball symbolize your habits, the games you play. This is the TV shows you watch. This is the music you listen to. These are the places that you go. These are your spending habits, so the stuff that you're buying. This is just your life. Everything right now. How you feel about yourself, your habits, the people you're around, all of that. That's your life. Now, in order to get something completely different, you must be willing to do something different and become someone different. In other words, no matter how many times you put eggs, milk, and flour into the oven, you're not going to get a meatloaf. You're going to make a cake. If you want to change your life, you gotta change you. That might mean that you can't hang around certain people. I'm sorry to say it, but you are the combination of what you spend the most time around. When people hear the statement that you're the combination of the 5 people you're closest with, they start thinking about family. They start thinking about friends. They start thinking about relationships. And that makes sense. But what if all day you're listening to music that is kill, steal, and destroy? What if all day you're watching TV shows about men are gonna cheat on you, women are gonna cheat on you, just take his bag, girls, just do this, just run through all these women, guys? What if that's what you're watching? What if all day you're watching stuff that ain't good for you? What if all day you're listening to music that ain't good for you? And I'm not saying we gotta be perfect. I'm not saying that I'm perfect, okay? I might be at the gym, listening to a little something that ain't so holy and upbeat. I'm not perfect, but what I am saying is that if the majority of your time is spent on things that are not constructive, you're going to destroy your life. And I don't mean destroy your life as in like some major tragedy is going to happen. I mean, you're not going to get what you want. Because if you keep putting cake into the oven, you're not going to get a meatloaf. You got to look at the ingredients you're using. You got to look at the recipe that you're cooking with in order to get a different meal. And that means that the reason why a lot of people are scared to win is because to win, you got to be willing to lose all of this. You got to be willing to tell them friends, hey, I can't be around you no more. You might have to break up with that girlfriend or that boyfriend that you're dating because you realize that they not good for you long term. You might have to turn that TV off and watch something else. You might have to change up the music. Instead of spending money on, $300 on shoes, you might have to put that $300 into some books, into some education, into a training program or a certification or college or whatever it is for you. Instead of playing, video games all day, you might have to crack open that book and read something. Study for that test. Do what it is you need to do. Instead of listening to trap music all day, you might have to put on some R&B or some lo-fi or whatever, some jazz. That means in order to get the life that you want, you got to be willing to let go of this. And that's a lot easier said than done. It's a lot easier said than done to let go of friends, family members, habits, behaviors, spending habits. But the most important one out of all of that is you. To become someone different, you must be willing to let go of who you are right now. What did that mean, Lawrence? When you wake up in the morning, I gotta check that phone. Can't be doing that. When you get home, let me hop on the Xbox. Let me hop on the PlayStation. And I'm not saying you can never play games. I'm not saying that. What I am saying, though, is you got to be honest with yourself. If I say that by the end of the year, I want 6-pack abs, but every day I'm cracking open those colas. I'm drinking that soda. I'm eating those Snicker bars. I'm stopping by McDonald's. I'm eating ice cream for breakfast. I can't be doing that. I can't say that I want 6-pack abs, but I'm eating ice cream for breakfast. I can't say that. I can't lie to myself. And that's the hardest part. Being honest with yourself about Who am I being right now? Not judging yourself. I'm not saying that you gotta go, man, I'm a failure, man, I'm lazy, I'm a procrastinator. No. That's not what I'm talking about. What I'm saying is you have to be honest with yourself. You gotta look in the mirror and say, this is who I'm around. These are my habits. This is how I spend my money. This is the food I eat. This is the places I go. This is the music I listen to. This is the TV shows I'm watching. This is the places that I'm going. This is my life. This is my health. This is my life. This is the job I work. This is my relationships. This is my life. I put myself in this position. You got it? It's a lot easier said than done, but until you admit the part that you've played in your life, you can never change it. Because it's really easy, and I used to be this way. No, my life is like this because of what mom and dad did. My life is like this because of this person or that person. My life is like this because of the president. My life is like this because of X, Y, Z. Okay, first of all, if you have like a medical condition that you were born with, that's not your fault, obviously. The place that you were born, like I was born, I'm not saying me, I'm just using an example. If you were born into like severe poverty or a third world country or something, that's not your fault. I'm not talking about things that you were literally born into. I'm talking about things that you can say, I made a choice that put me in this position. I made a choice that put me in this position. My bank account is this way because I made a choice to spend my money on that thing. And I'm not talking about life or death necessities, obviously. I'm not saying like I made a choice to pay my rent. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about I made a choice to spend $300 on a pair of shoes instead of spending $50 on the no-name brand. That's what I'm talking about. I'm saying I made a choice that led me to this position. I spent my money this way. I didn't put any money into savings, and instead I put $300 into Nikes. So now when it's time to pay my rent, I don't got money for that. My fault. My health, my fault. Now, yeah, if you were born with like a medical condition, that's different. But I ate that food. My choice, my fault. I drank that soda, my fault. Because I drank that soda every day, I got cavities, my fault. I can't blame the dentist. I can't blame the factory. I can't blame Jeff Bezos. I can't blame nobody. I'm starting with the man in the mirror. I'm asking him to make a change. Because if you spend your life trying to change everyone and everyone else, you're going to be running on a hamster wheel getting nowhere. You can't change anybody. You're not Bob the Builder. You're not fixing no one. You're not fixing that man. You're not fixing that woman. You're not fixing nobody. You have to work on yourself. And yes, you can help somebody. You can say like, hey man, here's a resource. Here's something you can do. But at the end of the day, you can't make nobody do it. I can't make you do it. If you get a coaching session with me, I'm going to give you advice. I'm going to give you a plan. I'm going to give you step-by-step guidance. I'm going to give you the formula. But you're the one who has to put it in the oven. I'm going to give you the recipe. But you're the one who has to cook it. And that means it's going to be uncomfortable. Because when you start saying like, I'm going to change my habits, that's uncomfortable. I'm going to put down the phone, that's uncomfortable. I'm going to change people. And I don't mean change other people. I'm saying like you change who you're around. That's uncomfortable. You might feel lonely. You might feel like, man, I miss that person. Man, I miss what we had. Man, I miss them. That's uncomfortable. I'm going to change where I live. Places. So that might mean, you move out, you get your own apartment, whatever. That's uncomfortable. Now you got to pay rent and water and electricity and gas and all these things. But at the end of the day, If you're not willing to do the work inside, you can't change the outside. If you don't change in here, you can't change out here. Now, the last point, which honestly should have been the first point, is know what you want. What do I want? Now, this sounds simple. This sounds very simple, like, what do you want? Oh, I want money. How much? I want a lot. How much is a lot? I want a girlfriend or boyfriend. What do you want them to be like? What are their habits? What are their character traits? Do you want somebody shorter than you, taller than you? What do you want? I want to live in a nice place. Where? Oh, in Philadelphia. Where? In an apartment. Where? You have to know, what do I want? I want to lose weight. How much? By when? How are you going to do it? Because if you don't know what you want, you can't figure out how to make it happen. But Lawrence, okay, I want an apartment, but I don't know, like, where do I want it? Like, I know the general idea. I want to have a nice apartment. Okay, great. Well, where do you want it? In Philadelphia. Like, which part? I've never really thought about that. Okay, well, think about different parts of Philadelphia that you'd want to live in. Well, it'll be really convenient to live near a train station. Okay, well, where are the apartments that are near a train station? And then as we get more clear, we can create a plan. Like, okay, I found a location that I want. Oh, this one looks really nice. Get a tour. You go inside and you're like, wow, it looks so beautiful. Start taking pictures. Start getting video, audio, get like a contract or something. You want to expose yourself, because it's one thing to have a thought. It's one thing to have a picture or a video, but when you put boots on the ground and you feel it, when you get in that gym and you pick up the weight and you feel it, when you go to that restaurant and you smell the food, you see the people, you experience something, it goes up in here and you start changing on the inside. I don't know any other way to explain it except a picture is worth 1,000 words, but an experience is worth 1,000,000,000. A picture is worth 1,000 words. Like, oh, I see that car. Like, I'm on Instagram, I'm looking at the videos. I'm on YouTube, I'm watching videos about it. I'm reading books about it. I'm hearing people talk about it. That's one thing, and that's good. That gives you knowledge. But I sat inside the car at the dealership. I test drove it around the block. I felt the engine. I grabbed the wheel. I sat in the chair. And now you go home and you're like, you close your eyes and you remember it. You feel it. You're like, you feel that engine moving. When you go to that restaurant and you smell the food, you talk to the waiters, you see the people, you remember, like, it's so different here. It's so peaceful here. I can feel the energy of this place. When you step inside of that apartment and you go tour it and you replay it in your mind and you replay it in your mind and you remember it and you feel it and you're like, what would it take for me to live like that? There's this restaurant I really like, and the food there is pretty darn expensive. I remember the first time I went there, I took $20 and I got the cheapest thing on the menu. And while I'm there, I'm looking at people. I'm seeing families, and they ordering all type of stuff. They're like, yeah, I want 2 of these, I want 3 of those. I'm like, I'm thinking in my head, like, they running up a bill that's like at least $400-500. But they don't care. And it made me start thinking about how, what would it take for me to be like that? What would it take for me to be like them? Not to say that I have to change who I am, but what I'm talking about is, what financially would I have to change in my life? What kind of belief would I have to change? My relationship with money, my spending, my income. What would I have, like, what would it take for me to be like that? Not to compare yourself and like say, oh, well, I don't have what they have. But it's more like to get inspiration. It's to get that feeling of, what would it be like to live in that place? What would it be like to drive that kind of car? What would it be like to have that type of relationship? What would it be like? And you get that feeling. You get that thought. You get obsessed with it. Like it's what you eat, sleep, and breathe. And as you go deeper and deeper into this thing, and you remove the old and you build the new, you change who you're being and you change what you're getting. You change the ingredients that you cook with. You change the meal. But that's a painful process because you don't just put ingredients in the oven and it comes out. No, you put it in the oven, you hit it with that fire, you boil that pot, you flip it in the grill, and you put that heat on it, you put that pressure on it, and then you get the meal. So as you're changing your life, as you're, like Lawrence, I'm trying to win, I'm trying to get that six-pack ab. When it comes time to put down that soda, you're like, man, I don't want to do it. You got to do it. When you say, I'm trying to get that high-paying job, I'm trying to change my life, I'm trying to get that car, I'm trying to do these things, when it comes time that, like, man, I can't be buying the new Jordans, I can't be looking shiny, but I really, I want to have a cool shoe, but I can't. I got to put that money towards my college tuition. It's going to be difficult, but you got to do it. I want to go take my girlfriend to that super fancy restaurant and do all these things and, buy her a diamond necklace or whatever dudes be doing out here. But I got to put that money towards my college or my car or whatever. And, I got to tell my girl that, hey, I can't, we not going to Ruth Chris tonight. And she going to be upset. But you got to do what you got to do. Maybe you might even have to end that relationship. Certain family members can't be hanging out with them. It is what it is. You got to change inside in order to change outside. Because to get a different result, you got to change the ingredients. With that said, if you want my help with it, I do offer one-on-one coaching on this stuff. Link is in the description. As well as, if you're looking for my books and products, you can find all that on my website, lawrencecharris.com. For podcast guesting, bringing me in as a guest speaker for your school, organization, or conference, you can contact me at lawrence@lawrencecharris.com. Have a fantastic and wonderful day.